I remember the first time I understood what silence could do. I walked into a room filled with noise, laughter, chatter, the subtle performance of people trying to be seen. But I didn't speak. I didn't rush to greet. I simply stood still, breathing slow, letting my eyes move, not judging, not seeking, just observing. The sound didn't stop immediately, but the energy did. It shifted, voices softened, eyes drifted toward me without knowing why. That's when I learned something no one had ever taught me. Power doesn't always enter loudly. Sometimes it arrives in stillness. We've been told confidence is motion, the handshake, the laugh, the speech. But real confidence, the kind that rewires the atmosphere, is restraint. It's the energy that says, I don't need to chase your attention, because your instincts already give it to me. That moment became the seed of what I now call the silent alpha effect, the unspoken law that stillness commands attention in any room. When I began studying dark psychology, I thought dominance was about volume, control through force, persuasion, and charisma. But the deeper I went, the clearer it became. The most powerful minds in history, from emperors to negotiators, all mastered a single invisible skill, presence without noise. Humans read stillness as certainty. It's primal. In every social group, movement signals anxiety, hesitation, or threat. Stillness signals composure, safety, control. When someone stays motionless, calm eyes, relaxed shoulders, minimal expression, it triggers a subconscious belief. They're not threatened. They must be in control. This is nonverbal dominance. It's written in our biology long before words were invented. Animals sense hierarchy through posture, not speeches. The lion doesn't pace nervously. It waits. The wolf doesn't bark, it watches. In human terms, stillness is power disguised as peace. It's the energy that doesn't demand, it draws. And once you embody it, you no longer need to prove anything. The origin of stillness. How I learned control. There was a time when I filled silence with words because quiet made me nervous. I thought confidence meant constant motion, opinions, laughter, noise, but all that movement was camouflage for insecurity. The turning point came during an argument with a mentor. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't defend himself, he just looked at me, a steady gaze that felt like a mirror. In that pause, I realized my power leaked through reaction. Every defensive word was proof that I'd lost center, so I started to study my silence the way others study speeches. At first it felt unnatural, like swimming against instinct. But over time I discovered something. When you master your breath, people listen before you speak. When you stop trying to control the moment begins to orbit you. Stillness wasn't absence, it was gravity. The magnetic field. How silence pulls attention. Stillness changes the geometry of a room. When everyone is chasing attention, the one who pauses becomes the anchor. People's eyes return to what doesn't move. It's the same principle filmmakers use. The camera holds on what matters. Psychologists call it the salience effect. The brain highlights what contrasts with chaos. In a sea of noise, calm becomes the signal. When I walk into meetings, I breathe slower than everyone else. When others fill space with stories, I let silence breathe between my words. Soon, they begin leaning in, not because of charm, but because of tension. Silence creates a vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. People rush to fill it with validation, agreement, confession. That's why the silent alpha rarely speaks first. They make others reveal themselves instead. Used ethically, this isn't manipulation. It's awareness. It allows truth to surface without force. Because silence is a mirror, and most people can't stand seeing their own reflection for too long. Reading the room. The psychology behind presence. Every environment has a hidden rhythm, a psychological pulse. Most people enter trying to add to that rhythm. But I learned to tune to it first. In dark psychology, this is emotional calibration. You observe posture, tone, microexpressions, until you sense the collective emotional frequency. Then, instead of matching it, you slow it down. Energy seeks equilibrium. If you stay grounded, frantic minds begin to settle around you. That's how control feels from the inside, quiet, steady, invisible. I've watched entire rooms shift when I lower my tone by 1 octave and speak half as fast. It's not hypnosis, it's nervous system leadership. You regulate yourself so deeply that others borrow your calm. That's the true core of dominance, not making others smaller, but making them safe enough to stop performing. Because the one who regulates the room, rules the room. Command without force, the ethics of dominance. There's a dark edge to all of this. The same silence that heals can also manipulate. Dark empaths and predators use calm to disarm. They mimic serenity to lower defenses. I've seen it. Charm that feels like warmth until it burns. That's why intention matters more than technique. When I talk about the silent alpha effect, I don't mean silent control. I mean ethical composure, the kind that transforms environments without deception. Real confidence doesn't need to dominate others, it dominates the self. It's choosing patience over impulse, clarity over reaction. It's using power to stabilize, not to exploit. Because manipulation may win the moment, but integrity wins the mind. The ritual of stillness, how I practice it. Every morning, before words, I sit in stillness. No phone, no sound, just the hum of breath. I watch my thoughts the way a sentry watches the horizon. When a wave of anxiety rises, I don't fight it. I label it, then let it pass. Throughout the day, I practice micropauses. Before replying, before deciding, before reacting, each pause resets the nervous system, converts reactivity into authority. In conversation, I let silence finish my sentences. In conflict, I measure my tone until it lands softer than expected. In leadership, I reward restraint more than performance. This ritual isn't mystical. It's repetition until calm becomes instinct. It's training the body to whisper what the ego used to shout. That's when you notice the shift. Doors open easier, words land heavier, presence extends farther, people sense depth they can't explain. They call it charisma, it's chemistry. Becoming the silent alpha stillness is not about suppression, it's about possession. You possess your energy so completely that no one can steal it. When you walk into a room, you don't compete, you recalibrate. Your silence speaks a language older than words, one that says, I am enough. Over time, I realized the silent alpha effect isn't about hierarchy at all. It's about harmony, the alignment of mind, body, and intent so clean that others feel it. You don't chase attention. Attention rests on you. You don't command respect. Respect organizes itself around your presence. And in that space, between your breath and the world's noise, you find the quiet truth that power was never about dominance. It was about direction. A calm, cinematic energy that transforms chaos into focus. That is the essence of extreme dark confidence, peace so deep it unsettles those who pretend to have it. Because nothing is more intimidating than someone who doesn't need to prove their strength. So I return to stillness again and again, not to escape the world, but to master it quietly.